to. The third thing, Proverbs 18:21 says, there is life and death in the power of the tongue. And it says the tongue, right? It doesn't say there's life and death in just thinking it, life and death in just feeling it, life and death in just listening to a song. It says it's in the tongue. I'm like, whoa, that's cool, because that's a muscle. And that means we are meant to speak truth out loud, and that is going to speak life over us and choke out lies in our life. So I want to challenge you to practice speaking truth in your life to keep you from taking the bait when it comes to believing the lies of the enemy. You have it right there. Speak truth. Hear the lie. Boom, let me tell you the truth. Speaking truth, speaking truth. For example, you hear yourself saying, I'm not going to succeed. I'm going to fail at this. Maybe you hear that thought, and then you get to decide in that moment, am I going to sink into it? Or am I going to open my mouth and say, his power is made perfect in my weakness, and we are more through conquerors than Christ? It's in that speaking of it that the life squishes out the death of the lie. Does that make sense? So what I want you to practice this week, because is to hear, when you hear this enemy try to blow his lies on you, I want you to combat it with the truth. I want you to speak it out loud. Speak it out loud. And I love it. The tongue is a muscle, right? It means you're meant to practice using it, and it can get stronger and stronger and stronger, and you can use it to speak truth over your life. So, example number 2, it's never going to change. It's never going to change. This is just my life. The truth, he is my Redeemer and the creator of all things new. So you hear, it's never going to change. This is just my life. Nope, he is my Redeemer and he's the creator of all things new. Proclaim the truth over your life instead of believing the lies. Developing the skill of speaking life over yourself, because it is a muscle, it is meant to take time, right? It is okay if the first time you try it, you're like, I feel awkward. It's okay. It's totally okay. The first time you start, when you hear a lie and you start practicing speaking truth, if it feels weird to speak the lie because you're like, Mom, my head doesn't really believe it, eventually it will. Because you will pour life and allow God to pour life over you until finally it is just, you are submerged in it. Speaking truth, speaking truth, speaking truth. I believe the truth, I believe the truth, I believe the truth because he is the truth, because he is the truth, because he is the truth. So I want you to practice this week when you hear something and you're like, that's the enemy. And let me tell you, that's when you're vulnerable. You hear it, you're vulnerable, and you have a choice. I'm either going to believe the lie and let it consume inside of me, or I'm going to speak out the truth of the Lord and squish out that lie. Does that make sense? So I want us to practice speaking out the truth. So this is our last writing down. I want you to ask yourself, is joy being distracted in your life due to believing a lie? And I want you to write down, the lie that I am believing in my life is blank. The lie that I am believing in my life is blank. It can be one thing, it can be 2 or 3. There's no right or wrong answer. I want you to think of something that makes you feel bad constantly. Something that comes up in your spirit that makes you want to hide under the covers throughout the week. Doesn't make you feel good. And somewhere in you, you know it's not truth. And what is that lie for you? Is it I'm not good enough? I'm not beautiful enough? I'm going to fail? What is that for you? Once you've got 1 minute,